Audrey Hepburn, born on May 4, 1929 in Brussels, Belgium, came from a background that appeared privileged, with travels across Europe and exposure to different cultures. Yet beneath this seemingly glamorous surface lay early emotional wounds that would stay with her throughout her life. At just 6 years old, Audrey's father, Joseph Victor Anthony Rustin, abandoned the family, leaving her with a sense of loss that would affect her deeply. Despite her grace, this early abandonment shaped her emotional landscape, and when Audrey eventually found him again, the reunion brought no closure. Instead, it reminded her of the gap left by his departure. This unresolved trauma would linger beneath the surface of Audrey's public image, a reminder that even the most elegant figures carry their own invisible struggles. World War II and the shaping of Audrey Hepburn. As if the pain of abandonment wasn't enough, Audrey's childhood would be further marked by the hardship of World War II. At the age of 10, she was living in the Netherlands when the country came under Nazi occupation. The war brought with it widespread deprivation. Audrey's family, like many others, suffered from food shortages, and she was forced to endure a life marked by hunger. The slender physique that became iconic was not the result of dieting or beauty standards, but rather a product of survival. During the Dutch famine, Audrey subsisted on whatever she could find: tulip bulbs, nettles, and other scraps. This experience of physical fragility and deprivation would shape not just her body, but her soul, instilling in her a lifelong empathy for those in suffering. The enduring impact of childhood trauma. Growing up with the scars of both emotional and physical deprivation, Audrey Hepburn's early years were undeniably marked by a deep sense of loss. The trauma of both her father's abandonment and the devastation of World War II haunted her for the rest of her life. While the world may have known her as the graceful, smiling star of Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey's life was far from the perfect image she portrayed on screen. As she matured, Audrey acknowledged the lasting effects of these early struggles, including the health issues that persisted into her adulthood due to the malnutrition she suffered as a child. Yet these very experiences fueled her sense of compassion and propelled her into a life of humanitarian work, especially with UNICEF, where she would dedicate her energy to alleviating the suffering of others. Ballet dreams and Hollywood grace. Before Audrey Hepburn became a household name in Hollywood, she harbored a dream of becoming a professional ballet dancer. Ballet was not just a hobby for her. It was a passion and a lifeline during the challenging years of World War II. Even in the midst of Nazi occupation, Audrey danced in secret performances to raise money for the Dutch resistance. After the war, she pursued this dream further by studying at the Marie Rome Ballet School in London, earning a scholarship despite the challenging circumstances. However, the reality of ballet proved to be harsh. Despite her dedication, Audrey was told she lacked the physical attributes necessary for a professional dancer. This rejection marked a turning point in her life, yet her love for movement remained. She carried that discipline into her acting career, using her ballet training to fuse her performances with the elegance for which she would later become known, struggles with self-image and acceptance. Audrey Hepburn, despite being one of the most celebrated beauties in the world, struggled with her own self-image throughout her life. The image of Audrey Hepburn as a flawless icon was, in many ways, at odds with how she saw herself. Her elegance, as seen in films like Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's, became inseparable from her public persona. But Audrey was never fully satisfied with her appearance. She focused on what she saw as flaws rather than her many gifts. However, as time passed, Audrey found a deeper peace. She came to accept aging gracefully, not as something to fight against, but as a natural progression. For Audrey, aging was part of life's journey, and she embraced it, focusing on family, love, and giving back rather than on maintaining a youthful appearance. Audrey Hepburn's search for love and family. Audrey Hepburn's pursuit of true love was as passionate and complicated as her professional career. In 1952, she became engaged to industrialist James Hansen, a romance that seemed like it would lead to a fairy tale marriage. Yet Audrey soon realized that their demanding lives would keep them apart, and she called off the engagement, citing her desire for a deeply committed Shortly after, Audrey met actor Mel Ferrer, and in 1954, they married. Their relationship seemed to flourish at first, and in 1960, the birth of their son Sean brought Audrey immense happiness. However, the marriage faced challenges, including reports of Ferrer's controlling nature, which created tension in their relationship. Despite her attempts to maintain the marriage, it ended in 1968 after 14 years, leaving Audrey to find solace in her role as a mother. Love after divorce and the blessing of motherhood. Following her divorce from Mel Ferrer, Audrey Hepburn met Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dotti on a Mediterranean cruise in 1969. Their connection was immediate, and by 1970, they were married. Audrey felt that this relationship would offer her a slower, more peaceful life, one where she could embrace motherhood without the constant pressures of fame. The birth of their son Luca in 1970 brought her immense joy, symbolizing both the fulfillment of a long-held dream and a healing of past grief. Audrey had suffered multiple miscarriages, including one in 1959 while filming The Unforgiven, which left emotional scars that lingered for years. Luca's birth marked a hard-won victory over loss, and Audrey's newfound joy was tempered by the weight of what she had endured. The heartbreaks of Audrey Hepburn's marriages. Unfortunately, Audrey's second marriage was also fraught with difficulties. As her career continued to demand her attention, Andrea Dotti's infidelity, including his reported attraction to younger women, gradually eroded their relationship. Despite their best efforts to maintain their bond, the marriage ended in 1982. Audrey chose to remain in Italy, giving Luca the opportunity to remain close to his father. However, as her son Shaw later revealed, Andrea made little effort to remain involved in his son's life. Once again, Audrey found herself raising her children largely on her own, a quiet testament to her resilience and devotion. Despite the disillusionment of her romantic relationships, Audrey's love for her children remained her most enduring source of strength. Audrey Hepburn's lasting legacy and humanitarian work. Audrey Hepburn's final years were a reflection of her compassion and devotion to humanitarian causes. As her health declined due to a rare abdominal cancer, Audrey remained focused on others, particularly the children she had worked with through UNICEF. Her legacy as a humanitarian continued to shine as she worked tirelessly to bring attention to the plight of children suffering from hunger and poverty. In 1992, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her tireless efforts in humanitarian work. Despite her illness, Audrey's thoughts were always with others, and she approached her diagnosis with the same grace she had shown throughout her life. Even in her final days, Audrey's concern for others remained paramount, demonstrating that her true beauty lay in her heart, not in her appearance. Audrey Hepburn's final moments and death. In her final days, Audrey Hepburn's simple and deeply human wish was to spend Christmas at home in Switzerland. Too weak to travel by commercial plane, she was flown privately from Los Angeles to Switzerland, where she celebrated the holiday with her sons, Robert Walders, and close friends. Audrey described that Christmas as the most beautiful she had ever had, a rare moment of warmth and peace amid her battle with cancer. After the holidays, Audrey's health began to decline, and she spent her last days resting in the comfort of her home, occasionally stepping into her garden. On January 20th, 1993, Audrey passed away peacefully in her sleep at the age of 63. Her death marked the end of an extraordinary life, but her legacy continued to inspire millions around the world. Audrey Hepburn's funeral and global tributes. Audrey Hepburn's funeral was a deeply private and moving occasion, held at a small church in Toscanaz. Those in attendance included her sons, Robert Walders, and former husbands Mel Ferrer and Andrea Dotti. Friends such as Gregory Peck and Hubert de Givenchy also paid their respects, with Peck reading Rabindranath Tagore's Unending Love, a fitting tribute to a woman whose life was defined by grace and compassion. Flowers arrived from all over the world, including from Elizabeth Taylor and the Dutch royal family, a testament to the widespread impact Audrey had on those who knew her. Audrey's influence did not fade with her passing. In 1993, she was posthumously awarded the Jean.